Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to another video. So how do we break free from those toxic relationship cycles and how do we stay free from them? Well, when you're in it, sometimes it's really hard to see that you're picking the same people with a different face. You're picking the same relationships with a different title on them because you're in it and you feel like that's what's comfortable to you. But we have to understand the cycle of the toxic relationship before we can break free from it and stay free from it. Some things to be on the lookout for are love bombing, because love bombing is when people try to give you too much too soon to get you to want to be in that relationship beyond all intuition. So they might do anything that you tell them that is something that resonates with you, makes you feel happy, joy, etc. They're going to do it in abundance, not just on a normal romantic level, but in abundance to get you to stay. If you tell them that your love language is words of affirmation, you're going to get all the sweet text. But you'll start to notice some red flags inside of there, but they've done all of that stuff to love bomb you. And then if you didn't recognize the love bombing, because it is hard to see because people bring so much charm as the representative in the beginning of the relationship, what you'll notice it as later is hoovering. So when they don't want you to leave, when you've told them that you can't take the relationship anymore or the toxicity of the relationship anymore, or even when you tell them that you're going to set boundaries, they start to try to suck you back in by hoovering you and doing the things that they used to love bomb you in the first place. So they kept you void of those things and starved you of those things for the entire relationship. And now they're bringing out the big guns because they want to make sure to hoover you back in. That's another cycle of a toxic relationship. They also are going to bring out your codependent behavior. So you can't be happy unless they're happy. You're walking on eggshells. You're making sure, and this is not on a healthy tip. We're not talking about like, I want my partner to be happy. It's like, I can't even function if they're not in a good space, even if I didn't cause the space that they're in. Paying attention to the trauma bond that you have with them. Like, is there a dance that you do where it's this back and forth, but you can't leave them because you're trauma bonded to them? You guys have so much in common based on either your prior traumas or the traumas that you're experiencing right now. So these are the roles that you just play in a relationship, even when they're not making you happy. And you start to notice this anxious and avoidant attachment dance that you do, where maybe you're the anxious one and you try to reel them back in and they're the avoidant, so they push you away, and then you keep doing that back and forth until somebody breaks and then you're all in love again. But then one false move, one misstep brings you right back to square one with the insults and the accusations and the harsh words, and then you saying you want to leave and then them hoovering you back in again. It is a vicious cycle and it repeats itself over and over again. You'll start to notice that if you're somebody who's been in toxic relationship before. If you're tired of that cycle repeating, you have to be able to notice it to break free from it. Also, really paying attention to, I talked about emotional attachment, but really paying attention to those attachment styles and how they show up. Because that type of attachment where it's this back and forth dance actually gives you the same response as an addict, where it's like, I don't want to get high anymore because I'm tired of that. I'm not doing that anymore. And then all of a sudden when they get high again, then they feel all of those chemicals in their body duplicate and multiply again, and they feel good, and then they feel like crap when they're not high anymore, and that just keeps going back and forth. This is the same thing that can happen when you're doing the dance with your attachment styles. He avoids me, so now I have to gain his attention back, and I'm going to gain his attention back by doing this thing. He's going to starve me of that by turning his back on me, giving him the silent treatment. But when he comes back, then I'm going to feel all of these chemicals that rise up again, and then eventually the cycle is going to repeat itself, and it's a dance. Most of the time when you're dancing with someone in unison, you guys are moving together and someone's leading and someone's following, and it's a beautiful in sync type of situation. But when you're in relationships that are toxic, you'll notice that it's always this push and pull, and that is the cycle of a toxic relationship. How do we break free from those experiences when we notice them to be true? Now, understanding the cycle and then seeing the attachments and the dances that we do are very powerful things to have to notice the red flags. But we also need to notice, how do we break free from those experiences? Well, the first one is to see it. Like, are you actually seeing what's happening? Because if you're not seeing it, then you're not going to know to break free from it. So have your eyes open to be able to see it. The second one is to set the boundary. So to say, I'm no longer willing to do this, so if it continues, then I'm going to, and keep the boundary. Because if you keep reneging on your boundary and you keep going back and forth and saying, okay, I'm going to do this, and then not doing it, it's much like a child who has no consequences. You become a pushover and they tend to just plow over you every single time something happens. That happens in the relationships too. So you have to be able to see what's actually happening, set the boundary and keep it, and then actually heal. And those actually aren't chronological steps. So seeing it, setting the boundary, and healing can all happen at the same time. Now, it's not going to be a process where you can heal everything that you're experiencing while you're sitting in the place that made you sick in the first place, but you can start to heal the little things that will get you out of the relationship. Healing your psychological wounds, healing your emotional wounds, understanding what's actually going on will help you to do that, because you'll understand that it's not you, but the way that that person has to move in the relationship to make you stay is to downgrade you by belittling you and making you feel less than, otherwise you would leave. That's why they use those tools. So understanding that and being able to heal it will help you tremendously to be able to break free. And once you break free, how do you stay free? Well, some huge, huge factors that worked for me were remembering the pain that I put myself through. So I don't want to deal with that pain again. I'm not going to go back to it. Again, I'm going to equate this to addiction, because my father was an addict and I know what he went through. And when he got to a place where he was no longer going back to the things that he was addicted to, it was because he remembered the pain that he had to endure to get himself off of those things. So getting back on was not worth the pain that he would have to endure again to get himself free from them. So to stay free, you have to remember the pain that you experience when you're in those toxic cycles. The second one is to recognize the patterns. So when you see yourself going through them again, when you see the love bombing again very early on in the relationship, when you see yourself being belittled and shamed and treated poorly, noticing the pattern very early on instead of enduring it for lengths of time is a way to stay free, because you can make a choice to say, I thought I wanted to date this person, but I no longer want to. I thought I wanted to be back in relationship with this person, but I no longer want to, because what they're doing right now is a pattern that I've seen before and I'm unwilling to repeat it. And also remembering who you are now. You are no longer the version of you who accepts poor treatment. You are no longer the version of you who accepts these shallow approaches to love. You are the version of you who expects to be treated in a way that values your worth. And if you're not being treated that way, you know how easy it is to leave that situation early on, so much easier than it is to leave it decades down the road or years down the road or however long you're in the situation. So if you're in a space today and you're saying, I want to break free from this toxic relationship, I want to break free from these toxic cycles in my life, and I want to stay free, I would encourage you to really understand the math behind the cycle, understand the role of those attachments inside of the relationship and the dances that we do, and then tell yourself, am I seeing it for what it is? Am I setting a boundary, and am I healing? And if you are, and you're ready to stay free, you have to remember the process that you went through. Remember that you are no longer the person who would have signed up for that relationship in the first place. You're stronger than that, and recognize those patterns so you don't end up there again. Thank you for tuning in. If this video was helpful for you, remember to like, subscribe, share, go to all my socials, like on there. And if you think that there is somebody that this video would be the catalyst for them to break free from the bondage that they're in, I would encourage you to share this video with them so that they may experience what true freedom looks like. I appreciate you, and I'll see you again next time.